Hey guys, it's Avenger, welcome back to the channel, and today we're taking a look at Aeroplane Heaven's latest release, with the tail floating, as, you know, aircraft in this previous screen will want to do. Now this is the Globe Swift GC-1A. Now I'm going to stop us there and say this is a bit of a question, because the manual lists two engine powers. It lists the 85 horsepower in the GC-1A, and it also lists 125 horsepower in the 1B. Now, the stats listed in Flight Sim say this is 120 knot cruise speed, indicating it would be the 125 horsepower B model, not the A. So I'm not sure. Now, technically, the only real difference there was the different engine making it a B model. So it's basically the same plane. It's semantics. Now, this comes with a good number of liveries, and including this barn find one at the end, which we'll take a look at in the video. But for now, let's have a look at the aeroplane and what we get here. So, out on the tarmac, we have a beautiful metal livery on this thing. Quite like it. And the gear check, of course, is important. Ooh, a little bit of rust. I like it. It's not pristine. I'm not sure I'd want to fly a plane with rust on it, but well, we'll see. Hey, actually, that's a lie. I've definitely flown planes with rust on them. Either way, older materials, of course, not quite as light as some we use now. Nice detail, actually. Cowl flap under there. And we have decent gear wells. This is a retractable, of course. Two-seater. And we have... Ooh, I actually quite like the... I like that. The material actually does look very kind of like real metal. You got that kind of puffy texture almost that you get from metal surfaces of older aircraft. That is quite nice. Okay. Little uniform, but not bad. Take a look at our prop here on the front. Now, one of the major... In fact, let me look at the side profile here. This looks a little sharp here. If I was to look at a picture of the Swift itself, I don't think it's that sharp. I think it's more curved. Because the windshield does curve a little bit on the Swift. And the profile there is more kind of curves around. That looks more like a step. I could be wrong, but to me that looks a little square. And a little straight there. I think it should be a little bit smoother on that top curve. Possibly wrong. Okay, let's go and take a look inside here and see what we've got to work with. So, we have got our windows, of course, which are... How do I do those? This. And here. And we have the top canopy there. We can't open this in flight, obviously, because it opens into the airflow. That'd be a problem. There's our trim. Right behind our heads. That seems convenient. Yeah, that's not at all really awkward to reach. But this is in a vintage of 1940, and let's just quickly talk about the Swift. This was designed, and there's a whole aviation myth that this came from the Culver Cadet, which was used as a template. It's a myth, it's not necessarily true. It was made by Globe/Temco Swift, and originally designed by R.S. Johnson in 1940. The war kind of interrupted things, and it came out in 1946 with the Globe Company, which was actually originally Globe Medicine Company, and they opened the Globe Aircraft Company. Now, it's a single, well, low-wing, all-metal monocoque, retractable gear, GA aeroplane. Seats 2, which, at the time, it's in that same vintage as the Air Coupe and the Navion. These just post-war aircraft that were designed for a world where we thought we'd have everyone flying. Now, like I said, the original model had the 90-something horsepower engine, 85 horsepower, sorry, and the second version, the B, had a 125 horsepower engine. Now, I believe that engine in it is a Continental C125, which is... The stats are all for the B. There weren't very many of the A's. In fact, if I look at the numbers, I think there were 6-something hundred made, and then about 800... Oh no, quite a lot, actually. Never mind. They ended production in 1951. 1,500 total were made. This thing will cruise at about 120 knots, stalls about 37. So those are useful numbers for us. Range is 360 nautical miles and get to about 16,000 feet. So, we do have a tablet here with some options we're going to look at now. Now we have, of course, our starting, which we can look at. We have show hide options. Oh, I want to put up... Wrong button to click. Yeah. This is our engine noise level. We're going to start this at 5 when we actually start the aircraft, and we'll look. Set it for cold dark. Pilots enabled and disabled for VR. Co-pilot enabled. Gauge glass. We can turn that off, and they all look very flat. Might increase performance though. We'll put it back on. We've got glass, in case you don't like that. Pilot enabled. Engine start tutorial. We don't need that. Okay. Looks like we're good to go. Let's start this puppy up, shall we? So batteries are on. Click off the yoke here. Now landing gear is here. We have cowl flaps there. We have... This is our gear hydraulics and gear warning lights. That's hydraulics, so that's gear up. Gear down. Flaps is there. And that's a case of literally roll the dial. This is very 1950s. Batteries here. Engine anti-ice. Throttle is here. Mixture. Parking brake, which is set. Radios, useful. ADF, useful. No transponder that I can see. We have 2 Navcom radios, but we don't have a transponder. And there's no autopilot either. So that's one to pay attention to. So pitot heat, strobe lights, nav lights, instrument lighting on and off. Let's make it dark, shall we? Take a look here. Oh, too dark. Can't see what I'm doing. Okay. That's pretty nice, actually. Subtle. It's not too much glaring on the actual glass around me. Oh, that's open. That's why. Let's close the glass so we can actually see it. Yeah, it's not too bad, actually. Let's go back to daylight. Prepare your eyes. And let's close our canopy here. Okay. Not bad. I'll give them points for that one. Modern AHI implementation. Ooh. Huh. Well, we'll see how that works. Okay, let's give her a start, shall we? Now, we have to get our fuel selector to on. Fuel quantities here, which you'll see when the battery is on as well. Why is rudder trim there and the elevator trim behind us? That's weird. But 50s aircraft were quite strange in many cases. So we'll go with that. Okay, so let's get ourselves configured here. Let's get our mixture to about 50%. Let's get our throttle cracked to about 25%. Boost pump needs to be on. Where did I leave the boost pump? Oh yeah, this is also the era we had radio mic, handset mics, and not headsets, of course, in aircraft. So, yeah, that's the thing too. Right, so hydraulic pump is on. That's avionics master. Where's the start button? Fuel pump switch. That is on. So starter should be a case of pull out, which I need to put the mags on first, and we'll just replicate the starter button by turning my dial on my honeycomb. Okay. So our windows are all closed here. One thing they did say is there is a sound difference when we open the windows. And it does depend which window you open. I can definitely hear a difference in the sound. Now, if we open up our tablet again... Ooh! Yep, 11 is loud. We'll leave this about 6. I like the fact they've implemented this now because obviously it's a realistic engine sound for an uninsulated aircraft. It's very loud. But I like the fact they've given us the option to turn things down. Oh, where did they come from? Oh, that's cool. Got fluffy dice. Wait. Modern artificial horizon indicator puts fluffy dice on. That might be a bug, because that doesn't change, and fluffy dice appear. Interesting combination of effects there. Let's get this thing rolling, shall we? And take a look at how she actually behaves. Let's turn my head on here. Also, in case you are wondering, I'm recording this at about 2 in the morning because I am dying from the heat. It is so hot right now. Let's put the yokes back in, actually. Why not? Let's make sure my mixture is good here. Throttle is right. Let's turn off our... Well, we'll turn the boost button after we actually get in the air. I think it says turn it off after start, so... We'll turn that off. We'll be fine. Okay, looking good. Now, they have done some custom work, apparently, in terms of countering the weird behavior of tail draggers in the sim. So we're going to see how this thing takes off. It could be great, it could be terrible. But we will find out in just a second. Now, I will say the Globe Swift is definitely an airplane I really like. Now, it's one of those vintage 40s, 50s airplanes that has a gorgeous look to it. There's the Staggerwing, the Beech 18, the Navion especially is a personal favourite of mine, the Air Coupe. There's something about 1950s airplanes that just looks so stunning. They have this real glamour to them. They're like hot rods. Okay, looking good. Let's get out here. We're not going to use flaps. We've got plenty of runway. So we'll keep her straight as we can. Very well behaved on the takeoff roll, actually. Just ease her off the runway once the tail's up, and she comes up very nicely. Okay, this isn't bad at all. The carpet looks a little weird, but the texturing inside is very nice, actually. Really nice. I don't believe there is much systems depth in this aircraft, but we don't expect that, I don't think. In terms of price, €25 or equivalents is what I paid on Simmarket for this, and I paid my own money for this aircraft, of course. Oh, we've got gear down still. Let's pull that up, shall we? Oh, I pulled it up already. Oh, it retracted automatically because I had it set up already when I took off last. Oh, that's great. Let's look under here. There we go. Nice simple animation, but it does the job. Okay, so... approaching 100 right now. Let's pull the throttle back here. Go to about 20, 250. We'll sit about here. Let's play with that engine volume, shall we? Seems like there's a difference between anything and 11. Now the funny part is I don't hear a huge difference when I open a window. Like, I expected it to be a bigger difference in sound. Obviously, we could change the engine sounds. But it feels like there's next to no difference when I open a window. You can hear there is a difference. It is very subtle, but there is a difference. But I expected a bigger jump when I opened a window compared to, you know, just the dial. Like, I really expected a huge difference in sound level there when I opened it. Okay, so she handles very nicely. She's very nimble. I'm not going to try any aerobatics. It's not an aerobatic aircraft, but the 50 style yokes are gorgeous. The actual cockpit interior is gorgeous. She flies very, very passively. Visibility is fantastic as well. That's really nice. I do like that a lot. I'm still very confused by the modern AHI. You'd think that'd be the radios turning on and off visibility wise or something else, or this most literally AHI. But yeah, it's just fluffy dice apparently, which do move at least with physics. Do they go forwards if I go forward? Yeah, they do. And do they go back if I do this? They get closer to me, so that's actually kind of cool. I've seen them move side to side before, kind of a stock animation, but they seem to actually... Oh, they're going this direction too. And if I go this way, they go that way. Can I make them go in a circle? I can. That is trippy as hell, and I like it. Okay, let's bring the power back here. Do we have a warning? We do not have a warning. This is, of course, the era a lot of people donked their planes on the ground. Gorgeous against the cloudy sky, actually, I will say. A very pretty exterior. Quick enough without being too slow. Vintage appeal. Really easy to fly. Let's turn her around here and bring her around. Now, this is meant to be a plane you land on the actual main gear, and then you actually bring the tail down. So we're not going to do a three-pointer on this one. Since I ditched some speed. Are we under 100? We are. So I'm going to pop down the gear. Gear's in transition. There's our runway. Gear is down and locked. I don't see a ton of yoke movement either. That's kind of weird. There's very little movement on the yoke for huge movements there. See, this is me going full 90 and it goes to like 45 degrees and that's it. Yeah, I'm going full 90 on the yoke and it doesn't do it. This looks ridiculous, doesn't it? The yoke is barely moving. Interesting. Okay, so we are set up here. Pop some flaps in. Flaps are in. Let's get our speed here and make sure we manage that. Is this in miles an hour or not? So I'm going to have to guess here. I don't know if it's in miles an hour or not, so that's going to be a problem. So I'll wing it by eye. I'll keep enough speed to keep my nose up, and I'm a little bit low on this approach, but it should be fine. Level her out a bit on the power. Just a little nose heavy with the drag. We'll manage that just fine. Great game performance. Really, really nice performance in the sim. No impact at all, but it's a simple aircraft with simple systems. It should be. Which I've been very shocked recently by aircraft that really can't manage that at all. We are so low on this approach. My God. This is the most scuffed approach into the runway I've ever done here. I'm just so flat. Which is kind of a problem with the tail dragger. So flat on this approach. It's ridiculous. Speed's too low there. The nose down. Feels like it wants to go slower, but I know I'm right at the edge of where I should be. Okay, let's bring her in here. No drama at all, or it shouldn't be. A little clunky. I'll give it that. Oh, there we go. A little bit of rudder. Thank you. Controls back. Gear up. Oh, not gear up, so flaps up, flaps up. Flaps, not gear. That one would be a mistake. We don't want to do that. And she's down. Little... I don't know if I was fast or slow, but I was trying to work out which my airspeed was in. So I did a little bit of a boing. Not the end of the world. It really wants to drop height on approach. Like, I noticed I really was so low down and I just couldn't seem to hold that up. Like, I wanted to try and gain some altitude and come back down again, but it didn't really want to. But reportedly tested by Swift pilots, and they seem to think it's good, so fair enough. I don't know how the Swift flies. They're PBR textures, of course, which is what we expect to think in this day and age in the sim. I'm glad Aeroplane Heaven have listened in terms of the volume slider, because when they had released the Electra, I will be honest here, I was afraid after the Electra, the 140 and a few others, that the upcoming DC-3 was going to be terrible. I was quite scared actually about that because, well, I love the DC-3 and it made me quite nervous, but after the Buffalo, the little barrel plane, and the Chipmunk and a few others they've released recently, their quality has been skyrocketing. So they're learning this sim and they're definitely doing what the users want. So I'm more happy to give my money to Aeroplane Heaven, knowing that they're definitely taking care of those things we want. Like, I like the fact they included the volume slider there. It allows you to have the volume level you want in your sim. Obviously in real life in this thing, I don't know how they used an actual handheld mic in these aircraft back in the 50s with the amount of noise that would be blaring out of this thing, because it'd be a racket. It's uninsulated, using a handheld mic, no headphones, deaden the sound. It would be a riot in here. It's earplug town. God, I wish I actually could feel the prop wash here when I open the windows. God, that'd be so nice. That'd be so lovely. And we do have more noise when the top opens, just not the sides, it seems. Actually, that is interesting. Yeah, there's a more noticeable difference when I open the actual canopy. Okay, let's park her there. Okay, let's go take a look at the barn find. I'm really curious to see what that looks like. Okay, so here we are on the ground again at Orcus, and my gosh, this is a beater. This is our barn find Swift. I kind of like it. This thing looks like it sat out somewhere for years. That is really pretty, actually. In its own weird way, that is kind of gorgeous. It looks the way it would be worn. Upper surface is definitely taken more beating than lower surfaces. That looks knackered. That looks like something you'd see in Mad Max. Oh man, that is cool. I like that. The one thing I'm a little bit sad about is, of course, I'm not seeing any ground features, of course. Let me just try turning everything off in here. Making sure my parking brake is set. Yeah, I would have liked to see some chocks and bits like that, ground equipment maybe, but it's not the end of the world. But this is really nice. I love it. And this livery just adds a little bit of something else to a vintage aircraft like this. It's an old restored one. That's cool. Well, not restored yet, but it could be restored. Again, the only thing that kind of tweaks me slightly is the shape of the side profile. Looks just a little too sharp on that corner. Right there. But otherwise, a fine little airplane. Maybe a little expensive for what we're getting. But I will say that. It's a little expensive for what we're getting. Again, 25 euros. So just under £20. It's ballpark, but I would have expected a few more features for that. It's great, though. I really like it. I may actually fly this one a bit. No autopilot, as I mentioned earlier, and there is no transponder. Slight problem if you want to use it on VATSIM or anything like that, but not a bad little aeroplane. Quite like it. Hopefully you enjoyed this one, guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time when it's hopefully a lot cooler. Bye!